Welcome to the Trini Techcast. This is episode number 83, and we are well into September. It is the 22nd of September, 2024, and it's a Sunday night. This is when we normally record. You're probably listening to this on a Wednesday night, maybe if you're early into the podcast, or if you just listen to it on the weekend. Welcome to the podcast. My name is Mr. Charles, Andre Charles from MakeITsimpleTT. My co-host is Akim there from Redbit_Tech. And he is quite happy today, or looking fresh. Did you sleep?
You think so?
You sleep?
Yeah, I slept today.
Yeah, you get your Sunday nap?
Yeah, I get my Sunday nap. You know, this weekend, yeah, kind of, after probably a year or a year and a half, I actually pick up a game and actually was playing it yesterday and last night. You know,
okay,
so
wait, hold on, wait. You have a young daughter and a day job, a remote day job, and you have some little side hustles and things that you're doing, wife, a house and thing to take care of and all of that. You had time to play game?
No, it was just like any night when
teach me your ways.
Or whatever. I just pick it up. Like, you know, and like during the day for like an hour or two, and my daughter was there cheering me on, and I was like, okay.
Oh, okay. She was there.
Like,
she was.
Yeah, she was there too. Like my wife. So I tell you, I ain't played game in like a whole year or year and a half. And last night before I went to bed, I was just playing it. And my wife had the audacity to come and say, "You real gamey boy." And after one year, I was like. Yeah, it's like, how long we play a game and us play a game for 1 hour.
Yeah. What game it is, may I ask?
I was playing Super Mario Odyssey.
Man, you're sounding ashamed. I mean, like, you're still saying like, I don't want to say this out
now
loud.
Because that game come out, like, I buy that game probably 6 years ago or 5 years ago, and I never beat it. Because I just never played.
Super Mario what?
Odyssey.
There's on the Switch?
Yeah, on the Switch, yeah. And I bought it when it first came out.
What?
When it
but like what make you want to play it?
I don't know, it's like you know, I had this game here, I never beat it out. I have it so long. It come out 2017.
Okay. Wow. Well, I did not expect that. I didn't expect that in the opening intro conversation. That is. Oh, that's how I look into his life. You know, that's good to know. You killing me, yes. My son mashed up the phone, and like, you know, when you see one of them children with a phone, I have like a spider web on top of it and thing, because it fall down so much times. Yeah, and the phone went through this week, so I had to go and buy a phone. iPhone 16 pre-order. That'll be one of the dumbest things that I could ever do in my life. Which is to give my son a phone that costs more than $1,000. So I was like, what's the latest Galaxy is? I was like, all right, A06 come out. Okay, well, we're going back 1 year from that. It was the A05. All right, $975. I went and I buy the phone film, screen protector. Yeah, TT.
Oh, okay.
Because I was going on order it online and thing and whatnot, but them kind of ordering, if I order a phone online, it's probably because I want to get like a real good phone at a cheaper price. But them A-series phones, you get them thing all over Trinidad, fairly cheap. And yeah, I just buy that. And I was like, I've reached that stage where, your son going and mash up his phone.
Yeah.
Because,
you know,
they don't care.
Yeah. You know, I never had an Android phone.
Yeah, tell me that already. We probably did that in like episode 2. That's so weird, eh? So weird. Like, your parents bought an iPhone for you. Or
no,
did you?
well,
Or
when
you?
iPhone came out, I was now starting UE, so I wasn't really at
Oh,
that
okay.
age where my
All right.
parents could.
All right.
Yeah.
Anytime a parent buy an iPhone, a new iPhone for a child, that I just watch that and be like madness. There's no way I spending $6,000 or $5,000, $3,000, whatever it is, on a phone for my child to go to school with and have the ability for it to be destroyed, stolen, tampered with, or anything like that. Nah, boy, that's...
No, I saying I saw an article this week here where a student had an iPhone, a $10,000 iPhone, and some bandits rob him on the iPhone.
And like, if you walk in the street, I mean, most children these days get pick up and drop off, right? But they still have like theft in school and phones that fall and all kind of thing. I don't want to hear you. If you come home and say your phone, I was like, okay, well, $1,000, I'll just have to write it off. But if I ain't writing off 5,000, no.
Yeah, but not most children don't get picked up. But have a large majority of children does travel.
Oh yes, that's true.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you're correct. So you traveling with something that's worth more than $5,000 and it's not a laptop? That ain't adding up to me at all. But yeah, that was my week. That was the techiest part of my week there. This man play a game here, Super Mario Odyssey. I still like, what? Gaming, yes? What a thing. A thing. All right. Well, let me get into the show, yeah. Here's what we're talking about today. Today, 2 local, 1 international. We are dealing with wider digital inclusion. Well, we hope. There's a YouTube video from a TTT report, I believe, that had some information about digital inclusion and the things that they plan to do, and we will discuss it from a technology perspective, especially as guys who know what it takes to get people to use certain services when they're designing stuff. It may not just be giving them devices, but we'll talk a little bit about that. And then why do people use the cloud, or do we even want to use the cloud? There's an article that we found on The Guardian, I believe, that says that most people, businesses, they don't want to put their stuff in the cloud because, well, everything working, so why should I migrate? Or something like that. And the last one is the international one, is remote work dying. Remote work is slowly getting killed off by bigger companies, and once them bigger companies sneeze, everybody else will catch a cold. So we had to figure out how that'll work and how that is going to line up with Trinidad and Tobago, who is supposed to be trying to create more remote work for public servants to ease up traffic. Will America just cause us to say, nah, if it don't work in America, it can't work here? I don't know. Let's see. So let's go into our first story. Back after this short break from ours. Well, actually, it's me. You hear my voice here. Cool. Well, you probably made it this far in the podcast. That means you probably like technology a lot and like to at least hear us talk about technology. And that also means you may know somebody or somebody who knows somebody or somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody who wants a website built or an app built or some sort of technology integrated in their business. If you want to help them out, you could send them to makeITsimpleTT, send them to us. And we have business services that range from building websites to building apps to invoicing systems to ensuring that technology is used in your company, the installation of routers, buying things online. So you can check us out, 308-8799. You can check our services out, or you could go to makeITsimpleTT.com and see some of the things that we've done and maybe give a recommendation to our website built or something like that. Back to the podcast. All right, welcome back. Wider digital inclusion, we hope. So this is a YouTube video. I'm going to play the whole YouTube video. It's only 2 minutes long, I think. And I'll play the whole video. Those of y'all who are listening, you'll be able to hear it. And those of y'all who are watching, you'll be able to watch it. Because I think there's a few things that is said inside of it that we could talk about. Not really nitpick, but just kind of address, because sometimes it don't make sense. So let's watch the video.
The National Digital Inclusion Survey puts persons living with disabilities, the elderly, and people living in rural communities among those most likely to fall behind in this country's thrust to digital transformation. Country representative from the Inter-American Development Bank, Karina Coburn, shared this and other statistics from the most recent survey at the launch of a technical cooperation project between the IDB, the Embassy of Japan, and the Ministry of Digital Transformation.
Only 40% of PLWDs in Trinidad and Tobago have access to the internet, compared to 79% of the general population. PLWDs are 3 times less likely to feel comfortable accessing e-government services than individuals without disabilities.
Ambassador Yutaka Musubara said Japan has invested more than $572,000 in the project.
This project is a list of many multi-sectoral initiatives financed by the Japan Special Fund, which previously provided grant assistance to the CARPHA, the Caribbean Public Health Agency, to coordinate the regional health response to the COVID-19 pandemic.
According to the IDB's Public Management Senior Sector Specialist, the project will run for the next 3 years.
Added up the populations who are elderly, who are in rural communities, and who are persons living with disabilities, in totality, that would be more than half of the population of Trinidad and Tobago.
Among the plans for expansion, a program to subsidize the cost of smartphones for the visually impaired.
In the public sector, government is working to expand the range of e-services available to customers and to improve existing services to ensure that they are universally available, easy to use, and fit for purpose to meet the needs of all members of community, regardless of economic, social, or physical circumstance.
According to the IDB data for Latin America and the Caribbean, the number of persons with disabilities is expected to grow from 88 million to 150 million by 2050. Terry-Ann Brown Campbell, TTT News.
First thing, she used a term called PLWD. For those of y'all who are not too sure, that stands for people living with disabilities. I thought it was something. I was like PLWD. I was like POW, prisoner of war. All kind of thing was going through my head. I was like, what? What's a PLWD? I start thinking about PTSD and all kind of thing. But so people living with disabilities and the elderly. These are the people that they are targeting. I don't know if you ever notice how wheelchair accessibility is in Trinidad and Tobago. And usually when you're building a new building, you have to follow some codes where it must be wheelchair accessible, and there's build this big ramp in front that's snaking, making a Z and all kind of thing, and it look like a waste of cement. But essentially, building codes require you to make sure that things are wheelchair accessible. And sometimes you might see like gaps in pavements and those sort of things, and the ramp can be a certain over a certain amount of degrees and all of that drama, right? So accessibility is something that's built into the whole ethos of building society right now. And then in phones too, accessibility features have been kind of forced on, well, not forced on us, but both operating systems, iOS and Android, Windows, everybody, they need to have accessibility where you could get talkback and you could turn on the microphone and all those different things. What they're trying to say here is that people need to have devices and frameworks in place for them to access technology. I'm just not sure if the one thing that they mentioned in the video, which is to give people cell phones at a cheaper rate or subsidize, is really going to make digital inclusion any better, because I don't think we design things in such a way technologically in Trinidad catering for digital inclusion. I don't know.
And I mean, digital inclusion is one thing, but I think it should have some focus on digital penetration as well, because, they talk about these groups, the people with disability, the elderly, and people in rural areas, right, in terms of inclusion. But people outside of that group who have access to it, yet we still have poor digital penetration, people who are not elderly, in rural areas or with disabilities, So there's one thing giving them access to the devices, but is our next thing to, increase the whole level of digital utilization, in terms of being comfortable doing things online, doing online payments, filling out a form online, making it, going through a process digitally, instead of everything paper-based or face-to-face. So apart from digital inclusion, we need, to improve the
overall,
like
the overarching theme or plan or something like that.
Yeah, because these people probably don't have access, but if you give them access tomorrow, what's going to change? They're going to be an uptick in digital inclusion, but in which areas? You have to kind of focus on, all right, they'll have access to digital, but in which areas would really make a difference in terms of moving the country forward? Because if you give somebody a cell phone, as you say, how that going to help? And in terms of this project, you need to have things to measure. All right, you give them a cell phone, but what next?
You ever turn on accessibility options on a phone for somebody or somebody who
So I actually did that.
Yeah.
At time, something happened to my phone, and like a coffee bottle fell on this phone actually.
Yeah.
And the screen was just totally damaged. Nothing was working.
Yeah.
But that's like one part of the screen was working, and I was able to turn it on, and from that
it kind of work. There's a time I tried to do it has some kind of thing called a blind test, which is close your eyes and turn on accessibility and try to use your phone and just let it talk back to you and see if you could figure it out. Android at that point in time was bad at accessibility, and that could have been like 2016, 2017, somewhere around there. Apple was real good at accessibility, right? Now, of course, that changed, and both of them, the accessibility features quite good, and even to the point where some people just put it on just because it makes things easier to lock your phone and all them kind of things, right? I think that the operating systems, they have the accessibility things in place, and it makes sense. But I can't think of something that somebody who is differently able needs to do. Let's say, for example, online banking, right? Making online payments. That's what we always talk about, and that's what we want everybody to start to do and whatnot. I'm not sure if the only app I think that I interact with is the Scotiabank app and the FCB app, right? Because those are my two banks. I don't know about Republic. I don't know about RBC. I'm not sure if there is actual accessibility built into the app where you could navigate and do all the different things that you need to do without seeing it properly. I don't know if it's built in. And this reminds me of the discussion that we had with Sinead, the D-Hub winners, where she was real passionate about accessibility and design and those sort of things. I don't know if the apps that we use, let's say you want to pay a tea and tech bill, that website ain't accessible. Like that website built with some old ASP. I think it's ASP is the thing, man. Either that or not PHP is the suffix is ASPX when you go on your website.
That is .NET.
Yeah, that's .NET. Yeah, that's .NET. Yeah. Well, if your phone try to do accessibility on that, it will just try to read the screen as if it's text, and you won't know if you're on a menu and all that kind of thing. So, like, say you try to pay ability and tech. If you try to pay with WASA, worse yet. That one, the WASA one does work, so you could pay a bill and thing online with that, but I don't know if it's accessible. So, giving them the devices is cool, but then there'll have to be, just like how buildings had to start to get this, every developer had to start to get accessibility as part of their language and their design when they were designing houses and designing buildings and whatever. We have to get that kind of goal when we design applications if we are to be accessible. Because somewhere in that video, he say eventually half of the population will fall under that because they'll be either aged or
like what I would like to know what he used to project that. Or you could project. It could be
elderly people. I think the population just aging and they get left out.
Which means it will be less. If population aging out, you'll have
No,
less
well, if
elderly people.
not, well, what I think you're trying to say is they're not aging out. They're aging without getting the requisite skills. So the gap just widening as they
Right,
go along.
but I do agree with that. Correct. Say the current elderly people, okay, but the elderly people are the next 10 or 20 years would have more exposure to technology.
Like me. 10
Yeah,
years from
so-
now, I'll be 60.
Well, yeah. So that statement, is like.
Yeah, I guess it could be sort of
And
sensational.
also, if you say disabilities, then how you could project that you're going and grow a disability population, disabled population.
Yeah. I had to measure.
Yeah.
I
mean, I'm sure they probably have some way to do it, but I would be interested to know how you could predict that, something like that. 'Cause, I mean, the more years you go into the future, as you say, when I become that age, I would like to think that I'll have some type of digital literacy that I wouldn't be comparable to the elderly people today.
Okay, so what do you think about the part where they go and give the subsidized devices that are fit for purpose? When they use the word fit for purpose, they mean with some kind of software on it that may or may not be good, or may. Because I think every Android phone or iOS phone is fit for purpose already, accessibility wise. It just takes the person getting acclimatized with it now.
Yeah,
But
I would hope that is not just, you're handing out the phones, but it is accompanied with some type of education or training,
Training,
hey, this how you could do this, you could do that, not just other stuff, but this, show them how to do, if it is visiting sites, using certain apps, that would help them in a day-to-day, getting information. I don't know, maybe paying stuff online, but go through the accessibility options with them, And I mean, for elderly people, the biggest thing, at least from what I see, is they like everything big on their phone. So big text, big icons.
I set up a few phones for some elderly people already, and I have two big must-dos. First thing is to change the size, yes. Change the size to make it big. And then, you could have multiple home screens.
Yeah.
Just put one.
Yeah,
one home screen.
on one
And
screen.
if the phone have the ability to lock the home screen so you can't add any more, put that on. Because them going on create 15 different home screens with 7 apps repeated and all kind of thing. And it just be a logistical nightmare. Because you're like, okay, where WhatsApp is? Swipe right. And then you find 6 different WhatsApp icons. I swear, I didn't even know it was possible to put the WhatsApp shortcut 6 times.
Like that's Android, right? But I didn't know that possible on iOS too.
Oh, for real? Wait,
Well,
I thought iOS is only once you could put it.
Me too, but like my daughter, she have an iPad.
Yeah.
And I just go and see multiple the same apps on the screen.
Yeah.
I was like, how you do this?
Yeah, that
I have no clue how to do that.
That real weird. So
But
yeah, one screen, make it big, and then show them how to open things, how to navigate, and how to get back to the home screen, and always be like, okay, this is home. Home is like your living room. This is where you get everything, but always remember to press back the circle to get back home or swipe. I don't even give them the swipes, because the swipes is paying for them. They'll be like, okay, they just kind of take their finger and be like, swipe. And you're like,
So like, all right, to see exactly what you're explaining, yeah? You have a little protocol, let's go through. For the elderly people, there's what they need. This group of disabled persons, there's what you probably need to go through. If you're blind, if you're deaf, if you're hearing impaired, I think that what I say now. The different groups have a little protocol you go through with them in terms
on almost like a follow-up session too, to be like, all right, how you going with your phone thing, like any issues, like a kind of call for help kind of vibe. That will make me feel comfortable. But then all of that is resources and all that is planning, and I don't think that there are people in the ministry that ignoring these things. I just think that the people that matter does ignore these things. And they'd be like, don't worry, we will follow up, we'll put something in place. Yeah, we have the tech access center, we'll tell them come back every 6 weeks and all that kind of. And then 6 weeks they come back, the place lock up. Be like, we're supposed to have a meeting for so and so. And the security guard will watch you and be like, I didn't know anything about a meeting happening here. What are you talking about? Well, they tell me come here to get my phone check. And they'll be like, nah, we don't do that here. All that has been the reality of us for the most part. But we're hoping beyond hope that is a well laid out plan and there's some structure that will help us to move forward with that, because the disabled people, they need our help also. Inclusion matters.
So I find something here, right? In terms of, I went to IDB site and found the the actual project.
Yeah, the kind of manifesto thing.
Yeah, so I sent it to you there, you could bring it up.
I'm gonna put it up. Yeah, they always have a mandate sort of to be like, okay, this is what we're trying to do, and when we go to these countries, this is our goal, yada yada yada. All right, so let's see what it's saying here. Yes, I accept all the cookies. This objective of TC is to evaluate which types of digital skills improve the labor market prospects. Blah.
So it's had one thing. So go scroll down and click on implementation phase. That drop, and click on the results matrix. The third,
All right.
So if you see any outputs there, it has some first, indicators there.
Means of verification. Okay, yeah. Output description. Digital skill training program executed with emphasis on monitoring support, individuals trained. Design and execution of a monitoring and evaluation plan and access the effectiveness of the... It not zooming in properly. The PDF like it vexed with me. Anyhow, but they're supposed to be able to, they have a monitoring and evaluation plan as part of it, which is what I would expect. Because I'm saying, these people not uneducated when it comes to putting plans in place. Is the implementation of the people, I guess. Yeah,
and the IDB does tend to have some very, very strict, requirements, in order to actually
like
get
milestones. Yeah.
So,
well, strict milestones on paper. Well, I had to put that because it has be on paper. But then when the money pass, sometimes the country does kind of just go wild and do whatever they want, and they may not follow up in exactly the way that they want because, well, the money was given already. Then on to the next project. I'm all for it. I just think that if anybody listening to this and you have a stake in it, there has to be some plan, not just to do the cliche follow-up, but to make sure that the actual goal is accomplished of getting these people not just to have a device, but be able to use it effectively and contribute to the digital landscape or use the things in the digital landscape as effectively as possible.
And I'm looking at it here, and it don't look like it's a lot of money behind this project, $200,000 US for the region.
Oh man, no, no, 200,000.
And they're not like it's okay. They're switching it out. That's for the region.
Yeah. Well, they probably put it, and then the country had a plan, match it or add something to it or something like that.
But that's 200,000 for the whole Caribbean. I don't know. Maybe it's
Nope, it's exactly what you're saying. That's exactly no other way to it. That's exactly what you're saying. It's a little bit of money, and when the money run out, the project will stop. The project will stop. But okay. Good for them. Hey, before we go to the next story, you see how they say last week we were talking about the taxing, and they go and be able to accept payments from ACH, bank transfer, and credit card now for the property tax. Which
by the end of October.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Somebody in the office was sitting down And then the manager come and be like, hey, why we do accept bank payments again? And then the person who in charge of it watch them like, you can't be serious. You know what we need to do to get this done, right? I told you all this in the meeting 8 months ago. And then the manager probably watching me like, yeah, the finance minister were done by the end of October. And then the man watch him, supervisor always watch him like, you know we doing budget right now, right? He's like, yeah. End of October, right? Cool. Later, I'll see you in meeting. And now some
probably get the right set of people probably complain and they get enough backlash and it's like
and now some poor soul had to go and sit down and do exactly what we talked about last week with all that reconciliation and payments and matching accounts and all of that. Yeah, somebody had to go and deal with that. But that's nice. That's nice. At least they will make it easier. I don't know. Well, next what is easier is using the cloud. And I think using the cloud is something that most small, like micro businesses use the cloud now because it's just so much easier to have everything there. But the big ones, the big ones might be fighting hard to hold on to the legacy. So let me see what this next story is about. We'll be back after the break. Right now you're listening to Training TechCast, and more than likely you know that I love technology a lot. But more so, I love teaching technology. I'm a CSEC IT and CAPE Computer Science and IT teacher, and I have classes that's available. So if you know anyone, any student that's looking for quality CAPE Computer Science or CSEC IT classes, you can check us out at 308-8799 on WhatsApp or makeITsimpleTT.com/register. You can get classes, notes, recordings, IA, SBA help, everything that you could think of that will get you that one in CSEC IT. So you can check us out. Back to the podcast. I watched my article here from The Guardian from our good friend Peter Christopher, which I promised earlier before the year end I'm going to reach out. I'm going to send an email to Peter and I'll say, Peter, we use your articles real plenty on the podcast, you know. Come on talk now, come on talk. All right, so I'll email Peter. Remind me to do that. There's a significant reluctance to utilize cloud services in TNT. This was one of the observations made by Territory Sales Manager Caribbean for Trellix, Camilo Beltran of Trellix, during ICT provider Nexus International and Caribbean's annual partner client relation meeting. Ooh, that's a mouthful. And cocktail event at the Bricks on Tuesday evening. Here's what he said. Most of the customers want to go to the cloud, but they are not sure how to do, or if it is the best idea to do it. In this moment, Trinidad in the Caribbean region is one of the most mature ICT countries. Must be nice. That does not mean it has the most advantages or had the more advantages than others, but it is one that's amongst the most prepared. That could be maybe because of the economic situation that is supported by oil and gas, but also because of the knowledge of cybersecurity matters inside the country. But here's the problem. What we see in Trinidad and Tobago is that many customers don't want to go to the cloud, not because they don't have the money. In many cases, it's because they have a very good offline infrastructure like databases, data centers, things like that, that is going to be better improving cybersecurity, for example, in that data center and also having those services because they are working pretty good. Long story short, big companies who have legacy servers and everything on-prem or maybe off-site, but in Trinidad, in some other place, whatnot, they're not going to try to put their services on the cloud because it's just too much work and it's working right now. And that basically, if it ain't broke, they'll fix it.
Yeah.
And it have two sides to that coin. So let me hear your side. Let's see if our sides coincide.
Yeah, so I mean, I totally get what he's saying, you know, in terms of companies shying away from moving to the cloud, because I worked in places where I know companies that real breaks going to the cloud, and a lot of it was people. You know, we talked about people a lot. A lot of it was people kind of trying to hold on to the job in terms of job security, because it have a lot of things. If we move to the cloud, let's say like Microsoft Exchange, if you have an Exchange server, on-premise Exchange server, you need administrators, you need different people to manage that security. Or if you move to the cloud, you don't need some of those people or some of those roles. So a lot of it is, especially in places where you might have unions and stuff like that, a lot of it is, people
Job security.
posturing like that. And some of it too is the cybersecurity aspect. It have a lot of companies that believe, and whether right or wrong, they believe, once you have things on premise, you have more control over your security, you have more control over your data in terms of data privacy and stuff like that. And they see going to the cloud as kind of giving up some of that, some of that.
But those same people running server 2003 still.
Yeah, and like I know people who do that still, and their excuse, so if you want to call it that, for still doing that is that we run in server 2003, but that behind a firewall and it's not connected to the internet nowhere, so you could still run it. There's no outside connection coming in.
But I understand the hesitancy, because just like CrowdStrike, the situation happened with them. When you put all your eggs into the basket of some service provider, that service provider has to have some kind of surety to tell you, hey, now we don't go down, We have all these things in place, we have all these checks in place, and we have all of that drama. To the point where I tend to use the analogy or the example of Gmail, right? Gmail have a 99.9% SLA uptime, right? Saying for that means Gmail could go down for 6 hours a year. And Google has been maintaining that 99.9% SL uptime for, I think there was only 1 year when it went down for more than 6 hours. Or 6 hours, whatever how much hours it is, right? I might be wrong, whatever it is, right? But haven't they proven themselves? Haven't, like, cloud services? Like, the only one that does get real stick is AWS, right? AWS does get real stick from all kind of people, but that's just because of volume. AWS have 40% of all cloud services. Azure have 30. No, AWS have 50. Azure have 30 and Google have 20 or some kind of thing like that. Right? That's basically the breakdown. But because of the sheer amount of people on AWS, you're bound to get more outages or more issues or those sort of things. But for the most part, they don't really go down. Like, they don't really have an issue in terms of loss of funds and downtime and all of these things. And it's way easier for your IT department to manage it on the cloud, because all them on-prem things, you gotta set up LogMeIn is the old one. It's called TeamViewer or some sort of remote thing to log into that server to check it remotely. But once on the cloud, it's a web interface. You go in the web interface, you check what you gotta check, see if your server working, spin up, and you could pull up your command line inside the web interface and run your whatever diagnostics you need to run to make sure that everything...
SSH into the
SSH, right, SSH into it and all that. So it should be easier. But your point is that will take away a few people's jobs, because the man who managing that server for the past 15 years, he has a job and he's permanent. And he not going to reskill to use AWS, because why?
Well, in a private company, if the company say you move into the cloud, you person who dealing with the underground infrastructure, you need to retool and become a cloud engineer. If you don't do it, find an next work. That could work. When, like, say a public sector setting where you have a union, you have certain things you can just, we more or less have to kill somebody before you get fired.
So let me say you're starting up something. Let's say it's a new government service or a new government office, and they're starting up something like, let's say the Ministry of Digital Transformation. And the Ministry of Digital Transformation has to do their proposals and all the proposals and all the things that they have to do. They should basically say, yeah, we're going to start cloud first, right? Because they're not going to say...
They should, but do you think they are? The hub. Where do you think the hub, that infrastructure are going to be? Probably on-premise.
I want to say... not out.
That's perfect example. That's like a startup for different areas in the government.
I'm not too sure how else we. No, I think they will go cloud. Why they would go cloud?
So you know, as you say that, I think the government signed something with Oracle Cloud recently.
Yeah. I remember you telling me about that when you were doing your Oracle stuff.
That could be, and I think you could probably find it. That could be an indication of where things probably heading.
But it is necessary for them to. They won't do it unless their service provider tell them, yeah, well, you have to do it now. So if you're managing a server, let me say you're managing a Linux server, I don't know if the government, they're probably using a Windows server, right? And Windows tell you, yeah, you have to move to Azure now because we're not going to support this Windows server. The IT manager have two choices to be like, all right, well, don't support it now. Cool, we'll just, use it because it's working and stand the bounce if cybersecurity problems happen. Or they have to go with a budget proposal to be like, all right, we have to migrate all of our operations to Microsoft Azure. We've been using Microsoft for so long. These are the things that they have. They made this tool for us to clone our servers and put it up on their hosting. And we're going to use it. It's just going to cost us so and so much a month. Whereas before, there was nothing a month because you had this on-prem server that just running. All you need is a machine and the license for the operating system. Yeah. So it could be a cash thing too. But in the article it said it's not because of money. So it might be that man just say nah, boy, I just walk. I just walk. Especially when they talk about the Exchange server and the emails and thing. Migrating that Exchange server, they're gonna take one of the sysadmin's job easy.
Yep.
Because the one sysadmin could just log in from the phone and do everything. Whereas before you start have a sysadmin for every department to create their email addresses, migrate PST files, and all kind of weird things that you need to keep the email up. Now, all of that will be redundant. And I think it's not a problem that Trinidad alone has. Migrating to the cloud is something that most businesses had to take into consideration because was the profit incentive, let's call it? I can't remember the word is. The term is used. The ROI, yeah. Or the return on investment for that. Like if I invest in this cloud, how does it make my situation better? And most of the answers are no.
Well, as I say, if you're operating in private sector and you're a real capitalist company, your ROI could be less staff. You cut your costs, move to the cloud, less staff.
Yes, because capitalism don't care about you, how long you work. Just compare by the bottom line.
5 or 4 years is an example. How much people Amazon, Microsoft, Google cut thousands of people. A lot of that probably had to do with cloud, with AI,
I was reading that 10,000 workers got replaced by 200,000 robots in Amazon.
Yeah, I saw that.
So, I like 10,000 people and 200,000 robots. But the 200,000 robots, once you get them, you don't need a salary.
Yeah, you don't need salary, you don't have to pay health insurance, no social security or NIS.
Yeah, no disability grant, no getting damage on the job and all them kind of things.
Giving you no attitude, always on time.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest incentive. Yeah. Wow. Okay. All right. I could see it. I could see it being an issue. I could definitely see it being an issue, as exactly as you say, because of the jobs and thing. But I cannot see myself trying to maintain a server in 2024. Can't.
Yeah.
I have a Plex server that I beat up to maintain. I just be like, wait, boy, this Plex server again give me trouble because I have a small Linux machine that's just used for Plex, and sometimes I press play and the show ain't come up, and I'll be like, wow, boy, Plex, boy, and then I'll go and reboot it or run some command or some kind of thing, and I vex. Whereas when I go on Netflix does Netflix. And I just press play, whatever video it is. And that's just a small microcosm of what you go through when you had to deal with on-premises servers. Yeah. And old school IT men, they love that fighter. They love that working through the night to get the server back up and get to feel a kind of way.
Yeah, I get too old for that. Right now, we're actually in the middle of doing something like that, migrating a physical server data center to cloud.
Yeah.
And the reason we're doing it is because the machines, they're outdated. They're already past the warranty and life cycle or whatever. So that's our next point in which companies could decide, when all your machines and thing, the life cycle run through and the warranty up everything, and it's time to buy new servers, which is a very expensive undertaking. Way up the cost between buying these new servers, all the people to maintain it, the electricity bill, the cooling, all of that.
Yeah.
Versus you take that time and you go to the cloud. You know?
And take the basic package, because that's what the managers will say. So what's the basic package? Like 2 gigabytes, blah 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 blah. Thing. Yeah, we'll take that one. And you're like, we will end up in problems because we need more bandwidth, right? Like, we'll start with basic now. that cheaper end. That's all right. Well, that making sense to me. There's pluses and minuses to it, and you have to kind of take into consideration where you're at in your business. But for sure, it has no startup not going to try and set up a server. None.
In certain industries too, like government or military or banks, they would prefer as much as possible to keep some of the stuff on premise.
Yes, I agree. That makes sense. But what don't make sense is telling everybody they have to come to work for 5 days a week, which is what Amazon is doing. And we had to talk about that. Because that's a big shift if all them big companies cause that change to happen. So let's see how that goes. Back after the break. Well, because you're listening to this podcast, more than likely you know how to order things online already. But if you know somebody who doesn't know how to order things online, and you probably just fed up having to order things for them, and you want them to be able to get a little more self-sufficient with respect to ordering things online, we have a service called Order It, where you can send the links and we order it for you and we deliver it straight to you. So if it's somebody who is not technologically savvy, doesn't have a credit card, and they want to order things online, send them to us. 308-8799 on WhatsApp. And we'll be able to help them order it and save you the trouble of having to buy things for them. Back to the podcast. So you saw it, I saw it, and Amazon tells workers to get back to the office 5 days a week. Amazon is ordering staff back to the office 5 days a week as it ends its hybrid work policy. The change will come into force on January. Amazon's chief executive, Andy Jassy, said in a memo to staff, "We've decided that we're going to return to being in the office the way we were before the onset of COVID," he said, adding that it would help staff be better set up to invent, collaborate, and be connected through each other. Amazon's push to get corporate staff back into the office has been a source of tension within the firm, which employs more than 1.5 million people globally in full-time and part-time roles. And yeah, people protested about it and whatnot, right? This is on the heels of Google telling people that they come back 3 days a week. Microsoft saying, yeah, y'all coming back for 5. And a lot of other companies have started to do it. Now, there are some big ones who say now we stay in remote, like people, Dropbox. Everybody from Dropbox has work remote. Nobody, well, aside from the facilities, people who have to deal with the servers and whatnot, but everybody in Dropbox, I believe, they're allowed to work remotely. If they want to come to the office, they could come, but they don't have to at all. And then some other bigger companies, like Dropbox is the only one that come to mind, but there were a few, because I read an article about it to look at both sides and whatnot. But Amazon is a big place. Amazon is a big company. And Amazon, for sure, has a lot of remote work that they could do. For sure. Because a lot of their office stuff is just managing things, because the robots in the warehouse doing all the things that they have to do, you probably need people to manage the robots, but everything else is a screen, an algorithm, watching things move. And it's almost like you're playing, you ever play Football Manager?
Nah, I heard of it, and I know the concept of it, but you don't really play the games, you just... No, there's a mode in Football Manager, I believe, where you could watch the dots move on the screen. Yeah.
And while the dots moving on the screen, you could make tactical changes as the manager and switch the formation, and then you'll see the dots change into the formation they have to change into and whatnot. Then you score a goal, you switch back the formation. So it's like you're playing FIFA, but you're not actually controlling what the player do. You're just setting up the tactics of it. That's Amazon. That's Amazon, because they have a big technological juggernaut going on inside there, and then they just have the rest is service delivery, which is the delivery, the packaging. Now the robots can dealing with the packaging and stuff now, so now then just to get in the van, and then the delivery drivers do the last mile, right? Amazon telling you to come for 5 days a week. That's a big sort of slap in the face of tech workers, if I would say so, to say you have to come because you want them to, just now what's the word? To invent, collaborate, and be connected enough to each other.
Yeah. I might say something going against that, but I kind of understand, what they're talking about.
Tell me what you understand. I want to know.
So I working remotely close to 10 years now, and it have its advantages. You're more flexible. Some people tend to put in more work and be more dedicated or whatever, like the case may be. But at the same time, as I say, some people will do that. There are some people that will just go AWOL, and it are some people you need to kind of have not a constant eye on them, but you need to kind of be behind them, kind of not really micromanage them, but you need to be in the spotlight in order to actually do what they need to do, or else they might just do their own thing. Like it are people, like I've seen people who you're trying to find them and they're not responding to you for days. Or hours pass and you try to go to this person and it's like you could call, you could send a text or whatever. You can't go to the office or the chair and talk to them. So
no.
you just kind of waiting for them to respond. And in terms of the whole collaboration thing, in person does be different versus remotely. Even sometimes, like say in a Zoom meeting, just putting on your camera and talking does make a difference versus you're just talking with everything off. It's kind of to feel, I don't know, we want to get into that, but just to kind of feel, to get the feel and the whole in-person
connected,
thing,
sort of
Yeah.
Is a psychological kind of thing.
I could understand what they're saying, what they're trying to do. And it's probably, I don't know. I don't know if it linked to them actually looking at underlying metrics or KPIs to see, all right, this is how people was performing before, and now certain people kind of lacking. But so we think bringing them back to the office, so we'll get every last ounce and squeeze out of them. It could be that. It could be that they will bring them back in, so we could literally micromanage these people down to the T, so we maximizing the return on the investment in these people. When the home, we don't know what they're doing for a large part of the day, but if they're in the office, we could really get every last drip and ounce of sweat out of them.
Well, here more big picture view of it, right? The big picture is people who get afforded the ability to have remote work, they will flock to the companies that give them remote work as an option. So the companies that doing remote work are going to be the utopia for people who run in from companies like Amazon who wanted to come all day, right? If all of them, however, like how the prices of things just go up when all of the vendors agree, well, okay, we have to carry up the price because we need to do so and we need to make money. So everybody's selling the prices. If all the executives, when they're liming and drinking the scotch and thing and be like, yeah, I do remote work, yeah, I do, yeah. I end up with that, I download that, and everybody just kind of be like, okay, well, yeah, we just done it, everybody come back to work. Then all jobs gonna end up becoming office jobs again, and it won't have the remote work, and then you can't flock to the companies to get the remote work. And people will just be generally unhappy. But if everybody unhappy, then the level of happiness will just have to drop to that level now. And there'll be no issue with it. But the fact that remote work is available to some and not available to some, that makes it seem like some companies just kind of being unnecessary with it now. Or they have some sort of micromanaging thing about them and the others.
So if you think about the job market right now, right?
Yeah.
In the past 3 or 4 years, thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people get let go. Right?
Yeah.
So right now the job market flooded with talented IT people that are just desperate to get jobs. So right now it's our employer's market. So the employer could have the upper hand because all these people get let go, they're desperate to get jobs. So it's like, yeah, if you want to come and work Amazon, you have to come in the office. Or you don't want to come, all right, you stay home, I'll find somebody
totally
else.
Correct, you're totally correct, because I was talking to one of my past students the other day who live in the States and telling me things grim right now, boy. Things tough. Nobody offering remote work anymore.
Yeah.
And then the jobs that they have available is all startup positions and thing and all kind of stuff going on. And I was like, whoa, yeah. And you're reading the news about the job situation in the States and all the layoffs and all that, but that's a real thing. So you're totally correct. It's an employer's market. So if I say, right, if there's ever a time for you to kill remote work and say everybody had to come back to the office, now is the time. Because nobody have options to say, well, I got this offer from this company that allows me to work remote. I'll be like, well, go, see what they say. And then when you go back by them, they'll be like, no, we didn't mean like remote, we mean you had to come in the office 4 days a week and you get 1 day that you could work remote or some kind of thing like that, which is where it might end up.
Yeah.
No.
You know what then helped this whole thing? Remember back in the TikTok glory days in the pandemic, it had these spend a day in the life of me as a Google worker.
Yeah.
Like 90% of the day, they was just having coffee and going to the gym, doing this, doing that, and with like 10% work. Yeah,
that's happening now. No, they don't do them videos no more.
Yeah,
work in your tail. Yeah, like work. And all them leisure things get cut off.
Yeah, then Elon Musk come along, get that was a high percentage at Twitter, and things still working. Everybody was like, wait, now you can do that?
Yeah, it's possible, yeah. So let me superimpose it onto Trinidad and Tobago now. Who'd go and try to implement remote work as we kind of talk about on the podcast. maybe about 10, 15 episodes ago. If public servants, if the people who go in and implement this remote work thing now, which is most likely some consultants and company from the States, look at what is taking place in the job market in the States and say, well, yeah, this remote work thing, we kind of stopping that, So what y'all asking us to do here, not exactly.
It's be like a few years behind.
Yeah.
They'd
be like, if all you want, all you could create this hybrid thing, you could say 3 days a week, maximum. You had to be in the office and any other 2, not. And that I think is a good balance, but it still will create some kind of gaping holes, because then you'll have to mandate which 3 days a week somebody has to come, because you want the people to be in the creative spaces at the same time. But you don't want one person coming Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and the next one coming Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, because they'll miss each other for the meeting and that kind of thing. So it could work if you create a formal structure to say, okay, these are the days you have to come to work, because these are the days your other team members are going to be here. And these other days, you get to work remotely, and the hybrid could work. But for Amazon to say 5 days a week, like no questions asked, I find as rough, because even Google said, well, 3 days. 3 days we require, the other 2, okay. And people in comments and people in videos and things talking about commute, work-life balance, all kind of different things. And they like, we'll open back up the daycare. We will give people subway car, all kind of different things that they offer in here. So they actually see the amount of money that they're gonna have to put out for these things as a necessary evil. To say, well, we will make sure that when they come to the office, we provide all the things that they need, because we need them here.
So in the past 4 years, Amazon laid off about 37,000 people.
Wow. Okay. There's a little part in the BBC article too that I wanted to touch on before we move on. Because some people said, Green from Northumberland, this is in the UK, who didn't want us to use his surname, mainly works from home and believes you just get so much more done. The difference between that and office work was night and day in terms of productivity, he said. In the office, people can come over for a chat or make requests, and then it could be more difficult to get back in a workflow, he said. However, he added that the socializing aspect of working in an office was also important. And if socializing is important, I think the social aspect of work, Gen Z not about that life now. Gen Z does be like, no, this is not my family, this is my job. You'll see them on TikTok and saying that all the time, all over the place. Like, in this job we're a family. No, we're not. You will fire me in a day if you realize that you could save money, right?
After working so long, that's the reality, right? If you come tomorrow and say, I want to resign, nobody gonna beg you to stay around. Be like, okay, accepted. Let me find somebody else.
Yeah. You'll be like, we're not a family. So the socializing part and the family part of it and thing, I think that's just a kind of utopia, pie in the sky kind of vibe where you want it to be like that, but capitalism not gonna let it be like that. At some point in time, you're gonna have to put the amount of money that is being made as the most important thing, aside from work culture and employee happiness and those and them kind of things. Otherwise, simply put, you ain't gonna make it. Because you're not going to say, all right, I'm the CEO, I'm going to cut my salary so that I could keep all of you workers. Said no one in America ever.
I wouldn't say that either, to that extent.
Nobody going to say that.
I mean, all right, I would probably say that, but I probably wouldn't say it to pay the workers. I would say it. I would not take pay if you're putting the money back into the business. You know, whether it be the workers or to buy more raw material. But if you're putting it back in the workers, it had a result in some type of return on that investment, which probably mean more profits or something like that. I wouldn't just put it back into the workers.
You still have a little utopia in you. Nobody even putting money back into this business going in America. File for bankruptcy one time. That way you have zero repercussions, and just be like, yeah, let Social Security deal with them people who can't get paid, because that filing for bankruptcy that's Donald Trump MO boy. Yeah, so yeah, that's kind of don't have to do that. It's not the same in Trinidad and Tobago, because when you're limited liability, you still have all kind of, you had to liquidate and sell the assets and all that kind of thing, and then split it up to try to pay off everybody. I think once you file for bankruptcy in the state, that's just a get out of jail free card. Like, yeah, the business boss, all of you who have a contract, I cannot fulfill it. Bye, and you're gone. That's what I'm gonna come down to.
I mean, it probably has some more nuances.
Yeah.
You know.
So if we move to work from home for public servants, and it's possible, then it might come down to like 2-3 days in the office. But I know there are many private companies who work from home in Trinidad and Tobago, and they're doing pretty well, because they're not trying to make you feel like you are a part of a family. They're trying to let you know this is your job. Do your job according to your contract, and we good. Nobody will have a problem after that. I don't need to come and sip coffee and talk to you while you're sitting down by a desk.
Yeah.
And me, honestly, I wish I mean, I love teaching, but I like the children. I like the children. I love to teach the classes. But you see, people, I don't fancy it that much. I'll make it work, because I know I've learned how to deal with people and learn how to massage different situations and handle different things. But deep down inside, I don't want to have to handle different things. I don't want to have to massage situations. I just want to go in a class and teach, and then go back home. But that's the challenge of life, isn't it? Yeah. You ever want to talk to somebody from your office and be like, old talk?
What do you mean, like on Zoom? I don't be in the office.
All right, that was okay, anybody that you develop, now we're talking about like relationship or anything, we're talking about develop a connection with, to make it feel like this coworker, I have endearment towards them.
Not really old talk, is probably if you were bunk something off of them.
Because it's work.
The perspective on it. Sometimes it don't be work, sometimes it might just be like, you see, certain tech articles, you might just share it with them and like, hey, it was just on,
right.
Talk about it for like 2 seconds, like that. But like, yeah, they don't really be.
You'll have endearment towards the people that you go and play football with. You know, you sit down and old talk after a little bit with probably 1 or 2 of them.
Yeah.
While you're putting on your boots, while you're knocking it off. Nobody will just come, sweat, and bust out. Like immediately. Like I am quite, when I say antisocial, but I don't like to, I always have something to do now. So if I say sweaters from 7 to 8, at 8 o'clock, I have to be somewhere else. I can't be like 15 minutes lying and all talking unless I budget fit, which is this is almost like a fault where every single minute of your time is budgeted, because you can't have any slack time to do whatever or whatnot. But even if you go and sweat, you'll have a little talk after, and you almost look forward to it because you want to talk about what happened in the game. But when it comes to work, I really don't want to talk. I good. Good.
No, I mean, sweat kind of like that. When you finish, there's always have a little lingering. Sometimes you don't even have nothing to say, we just linger around just to hear the talk a little bit. But these days, I don't really linger that much. Maybe like 5-10 minutes and
because they know you have to go, because you have things to do, and that is all part of the understanding. Yeah, that's all right. That's work from home. So Amazon dropping a domino. We'll see how that domino shifts everything else, because people will start to say that they're contributing to global warming by commuting every day.
That didn't make no sense.
Hey, well, that is it for today. Thank you very much for listening. Just to recap all the things that we spoke about, we went through wider digital inclusion. We have the articles for all of that in the description for the show. So whenever you listen to something, always remember we have the article there. And you could go and read exactly what we read. You could see the PDFs that we look at. And you could also leave a comment, and you could also leave not a like, but a rating. And share it with somebody who listens to technology. So wider digital inclusion, we talk about that. Why even use the cloud? We have the article for that from Peter Christopher, who I promise you I'm going to try to reach out to. And remote work may be dying, which we just spoke about with Amazon and all of the different things implications that could have. How will it affect us? We don't know. But we know that we do this podcast remotely. Fun facts, right? Me and Akeem have never met in person. just for the general knowledge. But I don't know, I might change that for Christmas and invite him to the studio and we could do a podcast together.
I don't think I'll be here for
You
Christmas.
see, that is why. Because we have remote is the way to go. But so at some point
if it's before the 20th, then maybe
we will talk about it. So we'll talk about it sometime. It's not like I know I'm overly enthusiastic about it. I just saying you can't be doing our podcast for 2 years and never meet. That's weird. I mean, that's not weird. That's quite normal for techie people. But that's the fun fact. So my name is Andre Charles at makeITsimpleTT. You will find me all over the internet with different videos. Most of the times it's podcast videos, but I do some other videos on different things. Right now, there are a few videos that are going to be in rotation. Schoolwork, all those different things at makeITsimpleTT. That's me. And you're finding Akeem at TriniTechCast. Akeem. Redbit_tech for your general knowledge. Now, there may be some older videos that will still be relevant to you because apparently they do resurface on people's TikTok feeds and they like videos from 3 years ago. Okay. And 2020 was his prime. 2021, 2020, that was prime.
That 3 years,
that was prime Redbit_tech there, prime. Yeah. So you might see some things that you need to see. So that's it there. As usual, we totally enjoy the podcast and share it with other people. The numbers looking steady at 30-something on Spotify every week, and I don't know what the rest of the other platforms looking like because honestly, ain't really trying to check too much to be caught up with our set of numbers. But thank you for listening and making it to the end, those of y'all. We will see you all next week when we find something else to talk about technology-wise. That's all, folks. Later.